My name is Colton White, and I am terrified of women.
Everyone I love dies. I'm like Western Batman.
Alright, well, as I showed off in the PSP version, you can kill yourself with dynamite to transport back to the last checkpoint.
With a much better ragdoll, we might add.
Oh yeah, the ragdolls are way better. So, this episode is going to be like 99% story, and all of it is dumb. There's the reason why this episode is so short, because there's only so much stupidity one could take at any given time. Let's go speak to Code Talker again.
How may I serve you, great warrior?
So, we haven't actually really shopped at the Indian Trader yet. Well, we did once, like for horse upgrades, but now that we have the arrows and the bow, mostly the only weapons you can really buy are upgrades to your melee weapons and to the bow and arrow.
Oh.
And you can buy like some higher level upgrades for the horse as well.
Oh, that fast travel is convenient.
The only way to actually know what the names of the various missions are is to go into the pause menu. It's not like GTA where you can actually like see them like fade in at the corner of the screen or anything.
Come on, let's go.
That cutscene is going to seem like a really long epic compared to the next part.
Get on that horse and follow me.
By the way, I thought I'd show off this before we start.
Hey kid, where you going?
Hole in one.
He fell out of the map, which I think is the best part.
Oh.
Get on that horse and follow me. Try to keep up.
So, while we're going to our next destination, fun fact, Clay is voiced by Tom Skerritt. That name may not mean much to you, but I'll explain what he's done after this cutscene.
Hey, Clay! Just in time. Cole, can you give
In the meantime, I gotta figure out who voiced Port. Okay, there he is.
Do me a favor and move them into position by those loose rocks over there.
That's a lot of boom powder there, boys.
Oh,
Alright.
and be careful with these barrels.
So, Tom Skerritt. He's a character actor who's been around for a while. You probably know him best from Alien, where he played Dallas.
Just place them around those rocks and listen for his word.
In Top Gun, he played Viper. And he played Duke Forrest in MASH, but only in the original movie, not in the TV series.
Which I would argue the movie is better than the TV series anyway.
Or the book, if you want to have like extra hipster points. That's a neat little trick that you could do if you jump with the TNT barrel. It's slightly faster, and despite these supposedly being unstable TNT barrels, it only triggers if you throw them. It doesn't trigger if you like jump. So this is Tom Skerritt's only video game role, except one time where he reprised his role of Dallas for Alien Isolation. I do not know who played some guy, though. Actually, I think that's Phil Proctor, the guy who played Denton.
Let's go.
Well, we've set up our ambush, but unfortunately, Chavez, that darn Mexican, got himself in trouble again.
We gotta get
Them darn Mexicans.
Because this is a revisionist Western, and even the good guys have to have their character flaws. So I've just decided that Clay is a horrible racist, even though he's working with Chavez. It's only a marriage of convenience.
A shotgun wedding of convenience.
Well, they already have the kids. They're the resistors.
Protect the resistors. Take out Hoodoo's men on the train.
Help is here, amigos! Fight on! Gracias a Dios! I don't know how much longer we could have held them.
So you can, like, in theory, shoot the dynamite out of the air, but depending on the trajectory and things like, for instance, if you're already on your horse, it's not the best idea. This could actually be a pretty tough area, especially if you haven't bothered to get any upgrades. The game really goes out of your way to encourage you to get upgrades for a reason. Like, when we first went into Dodge, they really encouraged you to do side missions. And it was basically Neversoft saying, hey, we didn't bother to balance our game properly, so please just get everything you can and be stronger so that You know,
Well, they didn't bother to put that whiskey jug on the floor either.
I never noticed that. This next wave here is all men on horseback. Although, thankfully, unlike the PSP version, if your horse dies, you can steal someone else's horse. If you were playing this on PSP, this is actually a section that would be considerably tougher. Because if Rogue dies during this section, you can't steal any of their other horses. So you have to fight them on the ground.
Ooh.
And even if you were able to aim properly, you know, just having that would be a serious disadvantage.
Oh, the PSP version. We're going to give you tons of crap.
Although, the PSP version does have an absolutely amazing end credits. I will be showing the end credits for both the console version and the PSP version. Well, apparently, even though we've murdered everyone, the train has just decided to go along and, you know, go on its merry way. Thomas has places to be. He doesn't care.
We're just going to let the ghost train do its thing.
Thank the Lord you're back. Get that last barrel down there while I finish moving the ammo up the hill.
Apparently we needed an extra barrel of TNT all this time. I don't know why. We didn't... Well, oh, I guess we got interrupted because of that Chavez getting in the way.
Now, you can never have too much boom.
I was going to cut this out, but then I thought, no. I've already fast-forwarded enough of this game. I'm going to make you sit here and watch. Sit in my shoes for, you know, a couple of seconds at least. This is what I have to go through.
Give it just a little more time.
Thanks, Port. I appreciate it.
A little more time.
Wait.
Well, we're waiting.
Steady.
And in fact, I decided to slow it down even more. I thought you'd appreciate that. So, this section can be pretty tough at times. You pretty much have to stay up here and defend. You have to. There's guys coming up the hill there, and you have to make sure that nobody makes their way down to the Gatling gun, which is the whole point of this mission, that we're trying to steal the Gatling gun. And because if one of those guys gets to the Gatling gun, you pretty much have to stick behind cover and pray that you can snipe him.
Isn't this the same train we were just at?
Yes, yeah, that's because that's the train that we were trying to ambush. We wouldn't have gone over there if Chavez hadn't tried to ambush it himself. Basically, what I'm saying is that this entire level is Chavez's fault.
You're the fastest I ever seen.
But we killed everyone at the train once before. Why didn't we just take the train then?
Because then there wouldn't be enough game, and you'd send it back to Blockbuster before the rental period was over.
Now, boys, show your son of a bitch brained me.
Also, sometimes when you take a human shield, they'll try to plead for their life and claim they were just framed by their boss. But Cole's having none of that. He is not a lawman with a conscience.
Well, next time they'll try the Chewbacca defense.
Also, because there's not going to be much time here later, this next the cutscene after this is where the plot officially nosedives and never really recovers. I thought I'd say that during the cut content version. But before we get to that, I thought I'd show an alternate take where I decided, you know, what would happen if I jumped down to the Gatling gun and tried to take down everyone that way.
out if they
It turns out that's not the best idea, because not only are you in a huge choke point where guys could throw dynamite down there, but there's also at least one guy that spawns over to the left. He will run up the hill and start shooting at Clay. So even if you manage to survive on there, the other enemy will shoot Clay dead.
Oh.
So you're pretty much forced to stay on there.
have a look at this.
Well, here we go. The shark jumping moment.
Looks like you aren't the only ones being driven off your land.
Bet you Magruder's using them for slaves. Get him out of there!
We'll take them as slaves instead.
They want water. Bring up some canteens.
Oh, shit.
And take them home.
There are always subtitles here
Now we've set many free.
when someone is speaking Apache, so I couldn't get rid of them.
Axe is just kind of glued to his back.
Yeah.
Where did you learn Apache?
I'm not sure. It's like I could understand what he was saying, but I couldn't quite speak it.
What?
Oh, come on.
Better get back to the hideout and plan our strike.
Oh, come on, Cole. What is this? Isn't fucking parcel tongue.
Fucking muggle ass explanations.
Uh,
Well, I don't know. Guess I can speak Apache.
yes, that I consider that as like the one moment where the plot just completely jumps off a cliff and never really recovers. Although they do try to justify it later, but it's an even dumber explanation than before. Although I but from the point that Jenny dies, I think is where the plot starts to go completely crazy, but it never really reaches that point until that exact moment where Cole is suddenly revealed to have known Apache this whole time. Also, I think these are coyotes. It's kind of hard to tell with these lower quality models. But you can kill them for absolutely no reason other than to assert your dominance over the wildlife of the Wild West.
That is a pile of coyotes.
So we were introduced to a new character there, Many Wounds. He is one of the characters who I censored earlier on in the multiplayer for the PSP version.
All right.
Along with Soapy. And I think Clay, I think, is another one who you can play as the multiplayer. Many Wounds is not voiced by Jay Tavara, however. He's voiced by an indigenous Canadian actor named Eric Schweig. He's mostly done miniseries and television shows for the CBC.
Okay.
But he did get one big role. He played Uncas in the 1992 version of The Last of the Mohicans, the one directed by Michael Mann. Also, for some reason, I thought I could get up there with my horse, and I spent like a couple of seconds desperately trying to get out of bounds. It is possible to get out of bounds at like a couple of very specific spots, but I think most of them only work on the PC version. I'll have to check with the speedrunning community. Anyway, let's go on to the next crazy story arc. Also, there's a typo in this title card, which I've already fixed, so no one is going to know what I'm talking about anyway.
Supplies. Good to see the boys cut loose, huh?
Well, might as well drink now, because if you thought the last cutscene was dumb, oh boy!
I almost need a shot.
Is it true?
Kid, Magruder was our commanding officer in the war.
You're kidding me.
Are you ready for a Civil War flashback?
Oh, I was born ready.
It was late '64. The Confederacy was desperate. Magruder had convinced Richmond to send us on a secret mission he thought could turn the tide of the war. Find Kivera, an ancient city of gold.
Bullshit.
And finally, finally the flashback from the very beginning of the game actually comes into the plot. It's only been, what, 6 videos now?
Magruder, Texas Mounted Rifles.
You're in the wrong place if you're hunting federal.
Also, this is not supposed. This doesn't take place in any of the states that are mentioned in the game, but this clearly takes place in, I think, like one of the Badlands areas, like near the mines, where we save the Chinese micro workers.
What's he saying?
He says one day you will find what you seek, and that day will be your last.
I disagree with that answer.
Time for games, Doctor.
Stop it, Tom. I never agreed to this.
I added that Wilhelm scream because I was very disappointed that there were no Wilhelm screams.
Always in good taste.
This scene has what I call prequel overload, because it not only explains like where the cross comes in, it explains how Ned dies, and now it's going to explain how Magruder loses his eye. It's like every plot event that you would ever want explained in a single scene.
This could have been a game in and of itself. Now we'll condense it into like 2 minutes.
And it also explains that Clay Allison was in the same regiment that Ned was under Magruder.
And I stood up like Ned. Magruder might be in hell instead of back.
It also kind of turns the Confederacy into like the Gestapo really late in World War II when they started finding more desperate and mystical solutions to end the war.
Clay, right before he died, Ned told me he wasn't my real father. You know anything about that?
No, kid, I don't. Except that Ned was full of surprise.
It's Magruder's militia. At least 20 men on horseback.
Go! I'll man the Gatling gun.
Oh no, 20 men. It's not like we've murdered at least 500 men by now.
Well, what's 20 more?
We finally got a sniper rifle. We followed up an incredibly bullshit cutscene with one of the worst levels of the whole game. I was ranting to you about this particular level, several weeks ago.
This looks familiar, yeah.
When I was recording this, I also showed you a particular video of someone completing this level on Insane, where instead of dying in 3 hits, you die in 2 hits.
I'm gonna try and fix it. Keep him off me.
Everyone in this level seems to have a sharpshooter instead of the rifles that enemies usually have, which means that you have significantly, less health to work with. Also, there are enemies that are scripted to prioritize shooting Clay instead of you, and they don't do as much damage to Clay as you, but they do have a very high rate of fire. Also, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, caballos means horses. Basically, it's Clay signaling to Chavez to send in the cavalry. It's not just this section of the level either. There's at least 2 or 3 other sections that are just as horrible. Long before we started this LP, because this video is probably going up in January, but I think back in October or November, I put up a death montage of the section right after this. And so if you want to check that out, I'm going to probably put a card or something that links to it right about here. So they give you one little brief section that's a turret section in the middle. Which, on Insane, it's still pretty ridiculous, but on Hard, it's a small break in between the absolute bullshit of the first and third sections. The first section is horrible sniping from the top, and then you're getting ambushed by the cannon on the main floor in section number 3. And there's only this one checkpoint.
Aww.
Like, if you die here, you have to start from the beginning of the level. Thankfully, after the turret section, they give you a checkpoint.
The good news is, killing is like Jello. There's always room for more.
Apparently, there's also a lot of room for more Gatling gun bullets.
Oh.
Many, many virtual horses lost their lives during the making of this sequence.
Well, thank God. That's what's left of the Confederate Army.
So, hold on a second. Some great dramatic irony is coming up in a couple of seconds. I think you're gonna like this.
Did you see that cannon out there? If they finish getting that thing ready... It's already up! What are we gonna do?
Be tough. There's plenty of fight left in us yet.
Well, this was a great Let's Play. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time, folks.
Yep, it's all over.
Be on the receiving end of that.
So this took at least, this one section, retaking the cannon, took at least 50 or 55 attempts on its own.
Oh my god.
Not that, and that's not counting the 30 or 40 attempts that it took to do the sniper section. And this isn't even the hardest difficulty.
We're going to consider that suffering for the art, folks.
It's even worse on Insane, and this is when I've grabbed every possible upgrade. Though I think this was like slightly artificially inflated in terms of its difficulty because I didn't have any whiskey left. So, I couldn't really, because basically if I took, you know, too much damage at all from any of the enemies on the ground, that meant I was pretty hopeless dealing with the cannon enemies. When enemies are on the cannon, they take 2 headshots to kill, and everyone else takes 1. Also, when you're on the cannon, no checkpoint.
Oh.
If you die here, you start back from where the cannon was firing on you. Back where the Curb Your Enthusiasm credits were playing.
Well, the good news is the cannon is semi-automatic.
Bastards blasting us with a 12-pounder.
Yeah, it's more like 1/4 automatic. Actually, I think it has the same fire rate as the Keelboat.
It's almost like they reused the cannon from the Keel Bowl.
It's asset flipping itself. Also, we got the Sharps 1874 again for some reason. It does that with a couple of other weapons.
Sorry, player, we've run out of rewards.
Yeah! My God, look at them run!
Hey! They captured Clay, up on the ridge.
Oh no.
Empire.
It's over now. We're licked.
Bullshit. Now we got a howitzer and a Gatling gun. Let's put them to use.
It's no good, kid. They know where we are now. We'll be back tomorrow with twice the men.
Then let's do what they don't expect.
Use a save state.
Attack.
God damn, kid. You're as crazy as Clay.
Oh, these guys are bipolar. They went so quickly from woo to aw.
Well, it was only Port who did that. We don't know that pessimistic Resistance member 1 and 2 are still pessimistic. So there's a reason why I only decided to basically just choose those 2 story missions, because there's only so much stupid you can handle in one episode.
It can only go up from here, right?
Well, next episode, there's going to be no story missions. We're going to be saving the rest of our stupid for episode 8.
I don't know if I should say thank God or oh God.
Well, we're getting some breathing room. So, for those of you at home, we're recording 6 and 7 back to back. So there's a little bit of breather. I haven't finished editing episode 8 yet, but when I do, it's going to be something else.